What's up, everyone? Cardboard Dreams here. We've got another great YouTube video for you guys. Today we're going to be teaching and learning how to play with cards from Monarch early. So obviously the first thing you're going to do is you're going to need to get Tabletop Simulator on Steam and the Flesh and Blood mod that comes with it. Normally you would import your decks from FabDB or just select one of many cards inside of the entire array of Flesh and Blood TCG cards, but we can't do that right now because they're not in FabDB. So how are you going to get your Monarch cards into TTS? Let's go ahead and just let's talk about that then. In order to get our cards into Tabletop Simulator, what we're going to need to do is we're going to need folders of every single card that's been released in Monarch. So as you can see, I've got them separated by Light Warrior, Rune Blade, Shadow, Shadow Brute, Light, Illusionist, Generic, everything in Monarch. And then you're also going to need an image of the Flesh and Blood card back. All of these files can be found on LSS's website in one of their card galleries. Fortunately, you don't have to go through their card galleries and save every single image because I have already done that for you. So if you check the link down below, there's actually a shared Google Drive folder with every single image that you need. So you can just take the zip file, download it, unzip it, and you'll be exactly where you want to be at this point. The second thing you need to know how to do is you need to know how to make a sheet of cards in Tabletop Simulator. So what does that mean? When cards are printed and cut in any trading card game, they're usually put on a whole sheet. I'm sure you've seen this if you're familiar with card games. Tabletop Simulator treats them the same way. So Tabletop Simulator has a mini applet that actually lets you create your own card sheet, right? So you can see I've got columns and rows and up to 70 here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go, in order to look for this, we're going to go ahead and go to our Steam settings for Tabletop Simulator. So I will go ahead and open up Steam right here. I open up Steam, I right-click Tabletop Simulator and hit Properties. In the Properties, I'm going to go to Local Files and browse them. When I'm browsing the local files, you can see obviously decks and Tabletop and Flesh and Blood, they're modding. So we're going to go into the modding folder. And then we've got a deck builder, deck templates, dice templates, etc. We're going to go into the deck builder. In the deck builder folder, there's actually a executable file, so an application that we can run here, and this is going to be our sheet. So I'm getting this error because I already have the deck editor open, so I'm not going to open it again. But basically, when I click on this, I get the deck editor. I can create a new deck. And we're gonna want them as width 10 and height 7 because that's the size of Flesh and Blood trading cards, and that's how it's going to cut these images, right? So I have the sheet and it cuts them 10 by 7, and so I'm gonna create a new deck, and all I need to do to create a new deck is go back into my folder with cards and say, okay, I want to play. Let me play Prism. Okay, so I'm going to add Prism to the sheet, and now you can see it's all here. Prism needs your weapon. I'm going to want, let's say I'm going to run 3 red Enigma Chimeras. I'll run 2 yellows and 3 brute blues. I don't advise this as a deck build, honestly, but here we are with a bunch of Enigma Chimeras in our deck. And then I'm going to add this as a piece of armor. And I'm going to go back to the light folder, and I'm going to say, all right, let's add a Ray of Hope in here. Let's add a few instants. Let's add an Illuminate, right? So I'm going to add Illuminate there. I'm going to drag these so I have my sheet filled properly. I don't think, yeah, Prism doesn't have a soul, right? Yeah, so Prism doesn't have a soul, so I'm not even sure I can use these cards, to be honest with you, but it hasn't really been said, but I assume that I can't. So let me actually delete this. Either way, so let's just pretend I want some generics. Let's do Let's just add some, what is this card? Out Muscle. Let's add some red Out Muscles. And okay, so I've gone through and I said, okay, these are the cards that I want from Monarch in my deck list, right? So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and save the deck as, or I'm going to export the deck. And we want to export the deck to a PNG file. So it's going to say file export. It's going to say to Dropbox, to whatever, you know, you got to click the upload image. You don't really care about this. Just export the deck. And then what you're going to, you can technically host them anywhere, but you're going to export the deck and you're going to say, let's call it Prism first. Okay. So I've saved it as a PNG. So this entire sheet is now a PNG file saved in my decks folder, and you can save it anywhere you want. But now what we're going to do is we're going to get these cards into Tabletop Simulator. So the way we're going to do that is we are going to go to Objects, Components, click on Cards, make a custom deck. I'll lay it down right there, and then I'll right click the deck. When you right click the deck, you get the custom deck options. And what I will do is I will go for a card face, right? This is the sheet of the faces. This is not a single card. It is going to cut the sheet. And that's where that 10:7 width height ratio that we talked about earlier comes into play. That's how it's going to cut the sheet. So you go to decks, I'll pick Prism first. And if you notice here, it's going to say that we can't play multiplayer with local files. So fortunately, Steam has its own cloud service, and so I recommend using Steam Cloud. You don't really need to host it on Dropbox, although you can if you want to share deck lists with other people. I would recommend that for sharing deck lists. But for your playing in your decks, all you need to do is join someone's game, click Objects, and hit Cloud for your deck list, and upload Prism first. I'm going to upload Prism first. And then I need to include backs on my cards. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and add the card back that I talked about earlier. Also upload that to the cloud. It's very important. And then what I will do is I'm going to select nothing else. We don't care about unique backs, anything like that. Although you do want to tick this up to 70 if you have more than 53 cards. It's defaulted at 53 for some reason. Put it over to 70 because that's what our whole sheet is. And then I'm going to click import. So this is a teachable moment, I think. Let's see what happens when we search. Notice how we have almost 60 blank cards here. That's because I chose 60 or 70. What I need to do is choose 17. So if I pull this out, it's gonna be a blank Flesh and Blood card. All good, we'll just delete that, right? So that's kind of all there is to that, right? So now if you see, I'll take the top off. If it'll let me, oh, I gotta get off search. Now we've got a Prism, Sculptor of Arclight, right here in Tabletop Simulator. So to recap, you want to make sure that your number is the same here, and you want to import those Monarch cards that you want. Once you have one Monarch card in, you can very easily copy it and paste it, or you can just right click it again and hit clone, and then you can lay a bunch of prisms, although I don't recommend that. The point being is an even easier way to make Monarch decks is going to be just to include every card when you upload the deck. So let's go ahead and do it again. Let's make a new deck, cards, custom deck. We'll right click it. We will add as the face. So I'm going to include every single light card that's been released at the time of recording. I will make sure to include the card back, of course, as well. And then I will, upload this. And so when I import it, I'm going to have a full 70 cards with one blank at the bottom, which you'll see here. One blank, which I'll delete. So now I've got the 69 light cards that have been released in Flesh and Blood. Okay? So why is it important to import one? Because I just showed you that we can now clone them. So you can basically, what you can do is you can say, now I want to go ahead and make a deck, and I want to include an Enlightened Strike, right? You're going to include an Enlightened Strike, and then you are going to enlarge these to the same size, right? So that's kind of the struggle there, is you want to make sure, you probably want to do all the cards at once, but you want to enlarge your deck to the same size as playable Flesh and Blood cards. You do that by using the squares at the bottom as a template. Right there, boom, 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 boom. So now that you've done that, you can freely build your deck from within Tabletop Simulator. If you're building a warrior deck and you want to use some of the new warrior actions, and you run Dorinthia, or you want to, you know, maybe you want to use one of the axes, you are free to do that. You can just pull out and, oh, actually I don't have axe in yet because I didn't. No, yeah, oh, it's hatchet. It's hatchet of mind and body. So if I want to add a hatchet, I can just do this. I can pull out my Dorinthia deck, which would be right here. Oh, mod's loading because I'm not caching the mod, so I've got my Dorinthia deck. And now I'm running a Dorinthia with only one hatchet. So you're free to do that. So the reason I left it so open-ended, I didn't get too into detail on here, is I wanted to show you guys how to get the cards in, what you should be thinking about when you're building, and then you can choose to build your deck freely in Tabletop Simulator, and then save. Once you're done, you save that deck as an object, and you can carry that anywhere. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope it was helpful for you. I encourage all players to go ahead, excuse the infinite loop there. I encourage all players to go ahead and get used to looking at some of these Monarch cards, even just importing them and running through and playing a blitz game or two. You might lose. It'll probably be a little weird. Getting used to the cards is so important. We've got pre-release events coming up this weekend. And yeah, I hope you guys have some fun with it. If you appreciated this, please subscribe and like. I want to keep putting out more videos like this, and your support means everything to helping me do that. Yeah, but that's it. That's all I've got. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.